Guys, this is Bryan from Keeping Up with the Nerds coming at you with another LA Comic-Con 2023 interview. This time we're interviewing Cissy Jones and Torian bracket voice actors who have covered a wide variety of works from audiobooks to video games and animated projects you might know about, definitely for sure. Owl House, if you guys are familiar with that show. But we get to talk about basically all the voice acting work that goes behind the scenes, what their projects are, all their work and history behind that, as well as talk about NAVA, a union that helps voice actors get the necessities needed to basically continue on their work, such as health insurance. We also get to talk about AI, because we got to see their panel about how AI is basically taking over the industry and taking away essentially entry position working positions for people trying to get into voice acting, how it can be a danger, and what we can do to basically help prevent an AI takeover and use it more as a tool rather than a replacement. With that said, I won't go ahead and hold off on this intro any longer. Please enjoy the interview, and if you guys like anything at all from the interview, please comment down below. Let us know what you think. Bryan, take it away. Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Bryan and Nick from Keeping Up with the Nerds here with Cissy Jones and Torian Brackett. We're going to be talking about a panel that you guys just did a couple minutes ago, talking about AI with NAVA. Am I correct? Yep. The National Association of Voice Actors.
There you go.
Oh, wait, I wasn't looking at...
She was trying to give me a hint.
No.
Right there, right on the
necessary. You know what? As a reporter, I got to make sure that I get it right. Absolutely. It's all right over here.
I messed up immediately.
But we definitely want to talk about what you guys talked about in the panel, specifically the use of AI in the industry. And before we get to that, I believe our audiences really want to know a little bit about your guys' background. So tell us a little bit about yourselves, what you guys have worked on, or any projects that people might know about.
Well, my primary work in voiceover is audiobooks. I guess notably I've gotten to work with R.L. Stine last year on his new Stine Tingler series, so that's been really exciting. If you've got some young readers, I can throw them for a loop. But I do some video games as well. I've gotten to work on Warframe, World of Warcraft, the recent Walking Dead Destinies games. I got to play Morgan in that. Fallout 76, I've been in a recent update there, so a little smattering of everything.
A little bit of everything. System Shock as well, right?
System Shock, yeah.
I saw that.
That was
there.
my very first game, so I'm glad you know that.
I was looking at the IMDb and I saw System Shock and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm a huge BioShock fan, so I know that it's like, I'm a science fiction fan, by the way. That's why I was talking about Fallout. But yeah, okay, cool. I didn't even know R.L. Stine was still writing books, and
he's still writing books.
It's just AI.
His essence still lives in the
alive,
air, right?
But something is writing those books.
Cissy, what about you?
Sure. I've been a voice actor for a little over 10 years. I've done a little bit of everything from Telltale's The Walking Dead to Firewatch to most recently Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacres, and in animation, people most know me from Lilith Clawthorne from the Owl House, as well as a few other things.
You're also going to be doing, I don't know if I saw it on IMDb and I saw it on Wikipedia, so I know that it probably is public.
It's probably true.
Arc, the animated series as well. You're going to be doing a voice. There it is. Okay, perfect. I don't know, because it was like 2023. You never know if it's like, if it's like you can
I'm
talk
still waiting
about
to
it.
figure out like when it's actually coming out, but they did announce all of the actors, which is amazing, and I really hope it happens soon because it was so fun.
They said 2023, so we're going to hold it to them. This is like 2023, no more. Yeah, exactly, right?
A few weeks left.
TikTok stuff.
Listen, it's a video game property.
Yes.
If you delay it anymore, you know that the gamers are going to be pissed off about it. We're going to be rioting.
Absolutely.
We cannot.
Please riot, because I want to see it too.
No, Cissy, I've been battling you for the past month and a half. I've been fighting against the absolute, and it's been driving me nuts.
Spoiler alert.
But yeah, I'm super excited to have you guys on. I mean, you guys are major voices inside the industry. What brought you guys to NAVA? Like, what brought you and inspired you guys to kind of join the cause?
Well, NAVA kind of came on my radar recently because AI's been really becoming a part of the conversation in the last year and a half or so. And so, as a voice actor, it was so refreshing to see a group like Nava kind of appear and talk about ways we can protect ourselves and introducing things like the AI writer that we can use. You know, often we're working with individual clients and kind of figuring things out on our own. So having a group that can say like, well, here's a way you can protect yourselves, and start the conversation with your clients about, you know, are you going to support or not support this AI thing? You know, it's so helpful to have things like that in place. And so Nava's doing a lot of great work that I am really excited about.
I started a group called the Vocal Variants about 18 months ago when I found my voice was being used on various AI voice websites without my consent, certainly without my control, and absolutely without any compensation. So I roped Tim Friedlander and Karin Gilfrey, who are the founders of Nava, into meeting on a weekly basis to talk about what this means for us. How do we coexist in a world with AI? How can we use it as a tool moving forward to benefit us instead of getting systematically annihilated, which is what was happening, and what would certainly happen if we weren't trying to take a stand. So we were meeting weekly, and then Nava got formed last November, and Tim said, you know, why don't you guys come under as a steering committee? You can advise the nonprofit on how this is going, and let's continue to work together. And I said, yes, yes. And what I love so much about Nava, if I can just gush about them for a minute,
No, go for it.
is Nava was founded as a nonprofit advocacy group, initially with the express purpose of offering access to health care for our members. Because during COVID, we lost one of our own, Brad Venable. He unfortunately didn't have SAG-AFTRA healthcare, which can be difficult to qualify for. And Tim and Karin said, never again. We're going to find a way to offer access for anybody who is a Nava member to get healthcare, and they did it. And then they got roped into the AI conversation. So it's the things that they're doing are just unparalleled. They are truly, honestly, the best of humanity.
It's always interesting to hear because I feel like, you know, the common audiences, right? They always think that voice actors or anyone that does any sort of like artistic work in a video game, a movie, a film, audiobooks, anything like that, it's like, you
We
know
have
what?
golden toilets.
Exactly. It's like, oh, you guys get paid. Well, it's perfectly fine. It's like, no, you hear about it, especially after COVID too, how, you know, sometimes access to healthcare isn't necessarily given.
So if you're a SAG member, which in and of itself is difficult to do, you have to be able to book a SAG job, which is not easy because you're still auditioning against the greats, right? If you're able to get a SAG-AFTRA card, you then have to book at least $26,000 a year in SAG-AFTRA jobs to qualify for healthcare. 86% of SAG-AFTRA members do not qualify. Do not book $26,000 a year on camera voiceover. I don't care. 86% do not make $26,000 a year.
It's weird where it's like that's where you break your branch. Like that's the qualifiers is $26,000, where it's like no, I'm working in the industry. I am working SAG jobs. You know, I am working some that's not, but that should automatically qualify you for those benefits and to get those health cares and what you need and everything else. Because I do notice that after COVID, it really did show where our weak points were in the inside of the entertainment industry. I know that Broadway shows where Broadway actors were also suffering. They were also suffering from exactly the same thing. I know that was very widespread. They actually started, I think, at that point, a GoFundMe, where it was just, hey, our Broadway actors don't have funds. Like they
Look at
need
the strike this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, actors have been out of work for 4 months, and they still have to qualify for that $26,000 in jobs, or they won't get health care.
So my question is for that, is that every year you have to make $26,000? And so you'll lose your benefits if you didn't actually make it.
Very possible.
That's insane.
This is the behind the scenes stuff that you usually don't hear. I mean, it's like usually in conversations when the strikes become relevant.
Right.
But it's not like.
But that's what's so impressive about what Nava's been able to do. They are a year old. A year old. They offer access to health care. They've met with 15 or 16 different senators. There are only 100 senators in the United States. They've met with 15 or 16 of them in the last week.
Yeah.
They have talked with the Federal Trade Commission. They've been on calls with various governmental entities in order to change the legislation around AI and voice in particular, because currently voice is not included as it's not included in the definition of biometric data. So biometric data means you do not have access to my face. You do not have access to my name. You do not have access to my likeness. Voice has never been included in that. However, your bank can call you up and say, "This is Cissy Jones, my voice is my password." It's not, so don't even try it. But voice is not currently included. Yeah. And so that's what Nava has been fighting for and making serious headway, which is amazing.
It's kind of like you put all the pieces together, and this is the one piece that isn't necessarily connected well enough.
Because nobody thinks about it.
Exactly.
It's just part of who you are. Why would voice matter?
No, yeah, and let's transition over to this topic of AI, because you guys were talking about this in the panel, right? How the industry is necessarily not using this as a tool; they're using it as a means to replace. To a point, I understand, because I forget the moderator's name. That was
Karen.
Karen?
Yeah.
Karen, she mentioned how her voice is used in that kind of way, but she's giving permission in a sense, because
she's getting paid.
And she's getting paid, which is the ethical way of handling this, right? But a lot of the industry right now, from what, as a consumer, right, we're seeing this as being as like a replacement.
Yes.
Oh, instead of getting a voice actor to be here, or voice actress to be here for a week straight to record 500 lines of dialogue or whatever, guys, right? Whatever is being given. We're just going to have a robot just do the voice, and that's it. And from my perspective, there's no emotion tied to it, right? Torian, you've done audiobooks, right?
Yes.
Yes, and that's an important aspect, is the emotion to it.
Exactly. There's this really unfortunate idea that, like, it's helping our bottom line, so let's use it. It's a shiny new toy. Why not? And it's not. I don't think it's going to end well for these CEOs. It's really going to backfire on them. There's especially in audiobooks, the listeners are the consumers. They're the people really deciding with their wallets whether this stuff is going to stick. And so, looking at that, I don't see it really happening, at least on the audiobook side. I might be optimistic, but in other areas it's a little harder to say, and that's why we're fighting so hard to get those protections in place before it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, AI synthetic voices don't offer much emotion yet.
Right.
But we all know technology moves at a breakneck speed, right? Here's my concern, my very legitimate, very real concern. Those of us who are working will continue to work. The main characters in video games and animation and the sought-after audiobook narrators, we will continue to work. Great. What about the next generation? We are completely at risk of shutting out all of the entry-level jobs where I got my union card, additional voices in, whatever game, or
background work,
ADR, looping, voice matching. That all stands to be systematically wiped out if we don't put in some safeguards. But a lot of the people who are calling the shots and pocketing the bonuses don't care.
The money's there, so that's all.
The money's there, and it's neat, and it's cool, and like, what a headline if we can come out and say that we did this all with AI. Isn't that neat? What will it do for my share price?
Exactly.
But there's no consideration for the human cost, which I think has to be a part of the conversation.
And I know you were saying that Nava has been communicating with Congress, they've been going after actual legal legislation protections for them. In a dream world, what exactly would those protections, if you got everything that you asked for, everything else, what exactly would those look like?
What I would want to see is, when you do your Apple Terms update for your newest thing, a separate dialog box that pops up and says, hey, part of this means that we're going to collect your data to create a synthetic version of your voice and your face. Are you okay with that? Yes, no. If yes, great. If no, all right, here's the carve out, and this is what won't be included in your update.
Written in simple English.
Written in simple, non-legal, easy to digest language so that you actually know what you're signing. Right now, we're seeing stuff buried on page 16 of a 34-page contract for voice actors. I'm not a freaking attorney. I don't want to have to pay $500 an hour to have my attorney read through it and make sure it's okay. The other side, okay, that's that part. So active opt-in consent and no penalty for opt-out, right? Because that's the other thing is, if I opt out, do I not get the update? Is my phone obsolete? What happens then?
Well, that is the thing, is that as soon as you don't accept that acknowledgement and saying, oh, well, I can take all your data and everything else,
right,
they immediately go, and
it can't be a condition of a thing. That becomes coercion, right? It needs to be opt-in, active consent, or decline. Okay, so that's piece one. Piece two. Piece two is then, how is it going to be used? I have an AI company. I started an AI company with all of this in mind because I want to make something that I would trust, right? So, consent, great, you're a voice. Fantastic. Control. Hey, Cissy, we want to use your voice to narrate for a tobacco company. God, my grandma died of lung cancer when I was 13. I'm really not a fan of that. Okay, no harm, no foul. We'll find somebody else. Or we'll drop the call. I don't know, whatever. Or, hey, Cissy, we want to have your voice do internal narration for a basic software company, just stuff that nobody else wants to do, but it's innocuous and there's a lot of it. And right now it doesn't have voiceover and it hasn't for the last 20 years. Okay, sure. And I'll get paid for that? All right. And then every time that is generated, creator gets paid.
Absolutely.
Bryan mentions all the time about work that humans can't always do, like narrating the New York Times every morning accurately without issue. We can't do that every day, and I don't know that every actor wants to do that kind of work every day for the rest of their life. So there's options and avenues for synthetic voices to exist, for sure.
Yeah. If I may add, in regards to like the human element, right? As a creative, when it comes to voice acting, specifically for our medium, we play a lot of video games. So for us, video games, if the voice acting isn't done well, how are we supposed to be engrossed in the actual story?
That's what I was saying on the panel about how when I'm listening to an audiobook and the author is phoning it in, if they're not interested in it, I'm not interested in it. I stop paying attention.
Yeah.
It just becomes
it's just background
white noise.
But like every element of that emotion is supposed to be critical for you to enjoy it.
But that's why I'm saying people who are working today will continue to work. You don't pay as much attention to background voices, right? Maybe you do. I mean, Spider-Man 2 did an amazing job with their background chatter, right? Those are the entry-level jobs. Those are what's going to be wiped out. And so suddenly in 15 years, all you have left is, Troy Baker and Laura Bailey.
Well, that was the thing, though, is that I know that during the panel you actually did kind of a roadmap of going, like, it's not just our jobs at stake, it's the people that are working the booths. It's
all the adjacent industries.
All the adjacent
For every
industries.
one voice actor, there's at least 5 or 6 auxiliary jobs that will be wiped out.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand...
Could be wiped out.
Well, in the grand scheme, it could be hundreds, maybe thousands of jobs.
No, so I said anxiety.
More? Millions.
It could be.
Yeah, it could be. Absolutely, until we get these safeguards in place, in which, like you were saying on the panel, it is a good idea to look into what material you are getting. Actually show these companies that you won't accept it. There is a standard, and you should have it. And everything else. So I'm really happy to kind of see that there is some, push back and forth. It's not as much as we would hope. Right now, I'm really hoping that it starts to pick up more and more speed.
There's one other thing I want to add to what I'd like to see in legislation.
Sure.
And that is that data is not immediately transferable. So if XYZ data company that has my digital blah, 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 goes out of business or is acquired by a larger organization that does not give a shit about Cissy Jones, I want to make sure that they don't automatically have carte blanche rights to my data.
Should they? Do you think that they should then have to send some kind of an email or anything?
I think they should have to renegotiate a contract.
Absolutely. That definitely does make sense. You're taking your likeness, your voice.
My creation.
Exactly.
It's my creation.
And it's your art. Your art is your voice.
The problem with saying my art is that the public generally doesn't care about art. The public does not want to pay for art.
They don't realize how much they do.
That part.
Because
when
everything
COVID came, what was it that everybody did? They played video games, they watched Netflix, they took a drawing class or a knitting class online, right? But if you come out and say it's my art, the public is going to go, so I work 9 to 5. I don't have an art.
That's actually a really interesting way of putting it. How you're saying it, right? It's the verbiage really does matter a lot. You can say it is the art, but like you said, no one will care about it. But if it's work,
it's
if
my
it's
job.
your creation.
It is literally how I feed my children.
Yeah.
I have kids. I work my ass off constantly to get in the games that you guys recognize, to be at the conventions, to do all of these things. It is my job.
Yeah.
I did Silicon Valley. I worked in the Silicon Valley for 10 years before I became an actor. I've done that. It's not for me. Everybody has a different purpose in this world. I found mine. And you want to take it away because it's neat?
No, that makes sense. Or it's an easy route. Because you did mention, we do have to wrap up the interview pretty soon, but I do want to like bring up this point that you made, that a lot of the industry looks for an easy way out, right? Something happens, your data gets acquired by someone else. Rather than renegotiate a contract with you specifically, what's the easiest route? Whatever. And that's not how it should be.
Yeah.
It should be contact the original people that worked on this, that have that, that carried all that baggage and all that weight in creating the thing that you're using, and renegotiate something, because at the end of the day, there are people behind this, people that need to live, people that need money, and it's not an easy job to do. So it's 100% understandable.
It's a fun job.
It is a fun job.
And it's a
Everybody wants to do it.
necessary job.
Yeah.
Humans have been telling stories since the beginning of time, and it's so important that we continue that tradition. And what's happening with AI right now is we're giving, I get the accessibility argument, and people that wouldn't otherwise be able to do this might not be able to do it, but we're giving the ability to tell stories to people who have no interest in storytelling, and that is really dangerous.
So the easy route.
In addition, I'm sure you hear it all the time. Oh my God, can I pick your brain? I want to know how I can be a voice actor. It seems like the best job in the world, and it is. If this is allowed to continue to run roughshod, there will be no entry point for voiceover. We will be the last generation of new voice actors, and this dream disappears for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Before we wrap up this interview, is there anything that you guys want to talk about in terms of work that you guys are currently doing right now that maybe you guys like to promote to our audiences?
I'll talk.
Holiday seasons are dry, but there's a couple of things coming out next year that I cannot mention, but working on a book right now called Cascade Failure that's approaching, some children's books coming out, a lot of things in the pipeline, so just,
This is one of the joys of what we do, is we sign NDAs within an inch of our lives. I have a couple of projects as well. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as my character came out on Monday, which is very exciting. But more importantly, I have started a company that is aiming to be the ethical coexistence of AI and voiceover. So I'm on the board of the company, I'm a founding member. I get to decide the direction that we go in with my fellow board members. We are working directly with actors to create a digital voice that active consent that we talked about. Hey, do you want to be a digital voice? Yes, no. We will offer them control over whatever project comes in, and anytime the voice is generated, they will get paid. And we are not currently going after publicly broadcast content. I don't want to take work away from people who are currently working. I want to find the stuff that doesn't have voiceover right now because nobody wants to deal with hiring through the union or the audition process. We're going in and doing that stuff, and there's money to be made. That's what I'm doing.
Sounds good. All the information that they've just discussed and about NAVA and do you have the name for the company that you're...
Yes, it's Morpheme, Morpheme, morpheme.ai.
Morpheme.ai. All that information will be in the description down below, and please go support, go check this out. Find out more information about the ethical use of AI, because yes, it is, honestly, like I said, we're video gamers, we understand the importance of it. You mentioned Spider-Man 2, the background actors, it's atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
And I think as consumers, it's very important to understand that. But Cissy, Torian, thank you so much for joining us here at this interview. We really appreciate it. This is Bryan and Nick here, Keeping Up with the Nerds. We're going to sign off on this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and check out all the information. I cannot beg you guys enough to do so. Please, great people in front of us right over here. Signing off here at Keeping Up with the Nerds. We'll see you all in the next video. And that about does it for this interview. Thank you so much to Cissy Jones and Torian Brackett for allowing me to interview you guys and pick your brains with all the AI topics, because I know that it is a big issue right now, not just in voice acting, but in, basically every major work that could possibly exist in entertainment. I mean, we talked about the writing aspect of it and how AI takes over that. And yeah, it is a shame to see pretty much AI be used as a replacement for entry position work. I mean, we can look at it as art, like Cissy Jones said, but art is such such a weak word, and we got to remember that, you know, voice acting is a job. It's work for many people that, you know, essentially gives money to help feed families and help, you know, pay rent and manage their lives, essentially. So it was a great eye-opening experience. And Cissy Jones and Torian Brackett, thank you again for allowing us to interview you guys, and post this interview online for other people to see. If you guys liked any of the stuff we talked about or are interested in knowing more, all their information will be down in the description below. Please comment down below. Let us know what you guys think about AI. And with that said, please subscribe to the video, or subscribe to the channel. Excuse me. Like the video, and let us know what you guys think. I'm about to sign off. This is the last video covering LA Comic-Con interviews. Keep an eye out for an overview video coming up in the next couple of days, hopefully, if I can get it done. But yeah, thank you guys so much. This was LA Comic-Con 2023 interviews, I guess. My name is Bryan, and signing off on this video. We'll see y'all in the next one.